pause.
Thank you.
This guy is about to get on my last nerve. This little kid. I'm just saying. I'm being honest in this moment. We pause and we pause. This little Negro is literally on my last nerve, and I'm trying to be nice. But y'all about to see Daddy come out in a little bit.
That's the Solomon show. Y'all better stop playing with him.
Look, like
He know who show this is. He know who show this is. Stop playing with him.
so. I apologize. I'm trying not to tune out, but
Tiara left and had took care of some stuff. I went in. When I left, I was back there taking care of some stuff.
Yeah, this is real. See, people don't understand. Look, we try to be all. Listen, this is life. See, people don't got. You see the other podcasters who got a little bit more money than us and everything, or people doing their channel. You know, they got people to watch their kids. We ain't got that. We ain't got that.
Or lock a door or something.
We ain't blessed yet, you know, to have that. We're not saying we won't, but just right now, this is the ground floor. You know, so we're gonna go ahead. Okay, we're gonna go ahead. I paused it.
yeah, I heard you. So is it my turn?
Yeah, it's your turn. Welcome to the Heart Talk podcast, where we turn hard talks into heart talks. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Daniels.
And I'm Tia.
And we know that you guys haven't seen us in a while.
A long while.
In a long while, but it's okay. You know, we like to give y'all a little bit of us and then go away so y'all can think about what we said, and then we come back and you kind of chop it up from there. You know, that's how we like to let's give y'all time. You know, so that's why. That's not why, but it sounded good, right? It sounded good. But we are back. First of all, we want to say we do have special guests here today. Our special guest that we have in the building is our people who we deem as very insightful, funny, family, real. Everything that embodies people who we will hang with, they are the definition and embodiment of that. We have the Dirty Laundry here with us. Everybody,
the Dirty Laundry channel.
I gotta get used to that. The Dirty Laundry channel is here with us today. Yay! Y'all hear the claps in the background? Yay! So before we get started, we're gonna allow you guys to kind of tell the listeners who you are. Tell them who you are, why you started Dirty Laundry, and where they can find you guys at, because we want to make sure that, you know, our listeners start tuning in to what you guys are saying, because what you guys are saying is phenomenal. So you guys can go on and introduce yourselves.
All right. Well, I'm Tiara. I'm Tamia.
And I'm Abby Sola.
And we are the Dirty Laundry channel. We started the Dirty Laundry channel just one day, just sitting around. We were all just talking, and it actually just seemed like a good idea. We were talking about different things as far as mental health with millennials and just our lifestyle in general, and realized that a lot of things that we talk about isn't talked about. It's like it's all brushed under the rug, pushed aside, not really expressed. So we decided that we were going to create the Dirty Laundry channel, and the Dirty Laundry channel is pretty much for millennials, or whoever actually wants to watch us. It really doesn't matter who wants to watch us, but we gear most of our stuff towards millennials and their lifestyle and mental health issues with millennials. So if anybody is looking for us, you can find us on YouTube as the Dirty Laundry channel. It'll just be Dirty Laundry, though. Don't look up the Dirty Laundry channel. It's just Dirty Laundry. And if you look us up on Facebook, we are Dirty Laundry channel. So we're at Dirty Laundry channel. and you can find us that way. We're still working on Instagram and a lot of other platforms, but we will be on all those other platforms soon.
Yes, and we cannot wait. We can't wait. It's gonna be awesome. Cause I definitely typed in the dirty laundry, and I didn't like that channel at all. Just not one bit. Not one bit. It wasn't what I was looking for. I want to say that at first, real quickly. Wasn't what I was looking for. But thank you for introducing you guys, introducing yourselves to everyone. Awesome thing. So today we have a very I guess a conversation that has been very dear to my heart lately. I guess God has really been dealing with me about this topic for a while now. And I've just been really wanting to dive into it a little bit more. And it's all surrounding mental health. With everything that's going on in the world right now, from COVID to social injustice to finances to job loss. I mean, literally, this is all a concoction for the perfect mental health issue, the perfect one. And I felt like we needed to create an avenue where you listeners can come to get information on how to handle all of these things. I don't believe there is a lot of, I haven't heard, from my perspective, I haven't heard a lot of avenues out there lately that kind of have been helping everybody during this time mentally. And so from the Heart Talk, we're all about turning hard talks into hard talks. We know that mental health is definitely a huge thing, especially in the African American community. And the Dirty Laundry channel has literally a mental health specialist on their squad. You know, that's what she does on a daily. And so when she told me that the last episode, I was like, yo, you need to come in. We need somebody with some experience to be able to share what needs to be shared amongst this crazy time that we're living in. Okay, so we're going to just go ahead and start. We actually have a question that we want to start. So go ahead, Tia. Start off with our first question.
I'm gonna sit here and let my listeners know, if y'all are watching, Solomon is gonna be in this episode. Okay, we usually like to record when he is asleep. It is 7:00 Central. He all about this channel, okay, or this whole thing. He be trying to grab my microphone saying hi. So if he does that, welcome to Solomon.
Solomon's Heart Talk.
Look, right. Okay, so our first question is, what is an experience that you've had regarding mental health?
So, about maybe 2 to 3 years ago, I had to have a surgery, and I was in excruciating pain before the surgery. So right after the surgery, they put you on medications and all of that kind of thing. So I debated on, once I had the surgery, whether I should go complete school or not. I said to myself that if I go back to school, it's going to be too much. I didn't listen to my conscience, and I went anyway. So when I went, I couldn't really handle it. I am a mom. I have 5/6 children, my bonus baby. So I have 6 children, and I was going to school, surgery, and then my daughter started to get into trouble at school. So this all combined at the same time, and it kind of like, I didn't know what to do. Like, I was just in a state, and I'm not that type of person that really takes time for herself and all that stuff. No, I'm full fledged. Okay, mom, gotta go to work, gotta do the cleaning, gotta do the cooking, that's me. So when it hit the fan, I just was caught off guard, and I did not know like what was wrong with me. And I was working full time. I was an educator at the time, so I was working in my classroom. Right up to when I was right after the surgery, I had went back to work maybe like 4 weeks later. So working in my classroom, daughter, everything happening, and it was just crazy. So, long story, kind of shorter. I reached out to a psychologist, a therapist, and she was able to help me work through that and kind of find some balance and some order. And just having somebody to talk to really helped me to find out that I was going through some sort of anxiety and depression. So I had to work through that by seeing a therapist. Now, I will say that when my children didn't know, my husband didn't know, I never told them that I was going to see a psychologist or a therapist. I just went and did it. And they would say, where were you? And I would say, oh, I just had an appointment. So, yeah, I'll leave it at that for right now.
All right, so I'm glad you brought up surgery because that actually triggered mine. I was like, oh, that's a good one. Okay, so I had full disclosure, I had plenty of stints with mental health, but this one I would probably say probably took the cake, and I didn't even go to a therapist at that time, but I should have. I should have. And from me going to therapy probably like a year ago helped me to realize what I was going through 9 years ago. So 9 years ago my son was born, or 8.5, however many you want to call it. 8.5 years ago my son was born. He was born 3 months early. Nobody expected him. This man was supposed to be born on November 27th. Yeah, he was supposed to be born before your birthday, but after, yeah. So he was supposed to be born on 27th, November 27th. He was born on August the 6th. So he was 23 weeks and 6 days. And during the entire thing, it was actually it was a pretty traumatic experience. And childbirth is traumatic in itself. So going through a traumatic experience while going through a traumatic experience was crazy for me. And this was my first child. So it was like me signing a lot of documents, just in case your baby dies, sign this. Just in case this happens, sign this. Nurses rushing in, rushing at me. I didn't even see my son. I didn't even know what he looked like after he was born. I just remember like sitting back crying on the table because everybody's like, your son might die, your son might die, your son might die, he might die. Like that's all I heard all day. And I had my sister there, my cousin there, my son's father, and his brother, I believe. All of them was there. My mom, she couldn't come because she was at work. Like nobody was expecting this baby. Okay. So everybody, when I told everybody that I was having him, everybody thought it was a joke. Everybody was like, are you serious? Yes, I'm in the hospital. Come now. And after I had him, it was like a good maybe 5, maybe 6 minutes, but it felt like forever where they could not get him to breathe. So he was just, they're like his heartbeat is faint, his breaths are faint. We don't know if we're going to be able to resuscitate him. We don't know if we're going to be able to get him to breathe. He might actually die. And then the nurse came up to me and said, do you want me to pull the plug? And I sat back and I looked at my child's father, and her sister said, no. Well, I didn't hear her say anything. I looked at him and I was like, you better tell this bee to get out my face right now and go do her job. I remember looking at him and I deliberately said that. And he was like, ma'am, please go get my son to breathe. And then probably like right in that instant, he started breathing. So then they rushed him up to the NICU. Still have not seen my son, haven't touched him, having nothing. It was just, okay. And I told my son's father, I said, go follow him because I don't even know what he looked like. So they could switch babies. I wouldn't even know if it was him or not. So I'm like, okay, all right, go follow him. He went upstairs with him and everything. They got me all stitched up, all that good stuff. Sitting down, signing more documents because he's up in the NICU. That takes more paperwork, social workers, all that good stuff, right? So finally, I get to go see my son. Finally. When I went upstairs to go see my son, it was me, my son's father, and his brother, I believe. I believe he was up there because I think he pushed my chair up there. And as soon as I saw him, I just instantly broke. Instantly. Broke apart, started crying, whole body went limp, started falling to the floor. Everything. I was done. I was done. Because in my mind, premature childbirth was not an option. And I didn't know, like, I knew babies could be born early, but you never think, oh, this could happen to me. So when it happened to me, it was like, oh my God, my son is pretty much fighting for his life now. So now that's me carrying that weight on my shoulder and going home because I couldn't stay at the hospital with him. It was like after your 3 days or 2 days in the hospital, they're like, okay, well, you can come back and see him, but he got to stay here with us. So I went home, and it's all it is. It's like when you're on maternity leave, you have nothing else to do. You just sitting back, you just thinking about it. Oh my God, my son was born early. Oh my God, is it my fault? It's like a lot of different things that go through your head. Like, could I have done anything different? Maybe if I had got to the hospital sooner, maybe he wouldn't be born preterm. Maybe they could have stopped it. Maybe he could have stayed in the womb longer. Like, it was a lot of things that I was really going through. And then even after all of that, once he got home, it was taking care of him because he had 5 specialty doctors plus his regular doctor. It was just a lot that I went through. And I found out a year ago that I was going through PTSD, postpartum PTSD, after I had him. And I didn't know that. And I was going through it for a while. And I'm not really, like, I know that I'm fine now, but I'm not really sure, like, when it ceased and or when I became okay with, okay, it wasn't my fault. Like, but I did say that to myself a lot. I was like, you know what, this wasn't my fault. I couldn't do anything to change it. I was just like, you know what, God's got him. He ain't gonna bring him here just to take him away from you. I'm about to say he's gonna be your blessing, child. He's gonna be your lesson, throughout life. So yeah, I just went from there. But in going to a therapist, I found out different strategies, different coping strategies, because I also suffer with anxiety as well. And I learned that, and I thought that truthfully I had a heart problem, but I don't have a heart problem. I have bad anxiety. So I learned that last year. But yeah, that's my one experience with mental health.
So before we go to Abby, so in the midst of going through that, while when your son finally came home, and then dealing with trying to make sure that he's all right, and going to PTS, going through what it's called,
going through postpartum PTSD. Yeah.
How did you get through that? Like, a bunch of because during that time you didn't have therapy. How did you get to the point where you was like, okay, was it suppressed? Did you suppress those feelings and just say, I'm a mom, I just got to do what I need to do? Or how did you push through to get to the point where you were okay enough to be okay?
It was probably some serious suppression on my end, because that's typically what I do. I just suppress things and just keep it moving. Typically what I do is I actually build up a lot of different things to, like, distract me. So once he got home, it was a distraction enough not to notice. So it was like, okay, and I had a schedule. So that's typically what I do. I kind of built myself out a schedule in order to
not think about
it. So it's like, okay, he had different medicines he had to take at different hours. I would clean the house, change his butt, give him his feed, put him to bed, fix dinner. Like, I was just on a system, and it was day to day. And I really didn't take the time to really acknowledge or notice. And I think after a while, it just kind of like went away.
Well, that's one thing that I do know is that about resiliency and bouncing back from trauma is that, and you were having a post traumatic event, stress event, was is that routines and order can kind of help people through post traumatic traumatic events. So,
Oh, well, that's good to know. At
and
least I
help
know I
build
was helping
resilience.
myself through a issue.
That you
Yeah,
ain't even
even
know.
though you was
But
helping,
I
because
did
even
not know.
because I think a lot of, I think even when Tia had Solomon, I think she also dealt with it, you know. But it's like what I guess from my view, I haven't seen I've seen a lot of women, or from what that I've experienced, seen a lot of women go through it, and it's like there's no therapy. They just kind of just have postpartum, and they just continue on doing what they need to do to take care of their situation. But I know I know Tia dealt with a lot of things and probably felt depression because, like you said, during maternity leave, it's just you and the baby all day. When I was at work, she'll be in a room all day in the same spot doing the exact same thing over and over again. So I know that can be a lot. And it's like there's no, like, yes, you go to maybe classes before you have your child, but nothing prepares you for it when it's there. Uh, and we thought we was gonna have more help during that time with Tia, and we didn't. It was just so I can. That's why I wanted to ask the question, like, how women get through these moments when there's literally you are your own therapist during this moment, and if you believe in God, God is like a big factor as well, in the midst of all that. So yeah, that's why I asked the question. I just wanted to really understand from a man from my from a man. I want to know how you guys do it. This is why you guys are so much stronger than us.
Yeah,
500 times.
definitely believe that Jeremiah was definitely brought here for a
Yeah.
bigger reason. And I'm still trying to figure it out. I know some of the reasons because God was definitely trying to slow me down.
Yeah.
He was definitely trying to slow me down. I was like, okay, I was everywhere. So I know that Jeremiah came here to slow, like he's
Slow
like,
it
girl,
down.
stop, go back, stop.
I
Like you
do.
doing a lot.
I agree.
That's
Yeah.
right. You doing a lot. That's good. Sit down. So yeah, he sat me down.
That's
Jeremiah
good.
sat me down. He definitely sat me down.
And he is one character boy.
He is a character.
But yeah, so he's really a blessing.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you guys for sharing that. Okay, Abby, you are on the spotlight video.
It's funny that we would bring up when it comes to kids because one of my mental health encounters was during the birth of my second daughter. Yeah, my second child. And funny enough, I'm a nurse and I'm a labor and delivery nurse as well as a life coach. And so the transition to being a labor and delivery nurse and seeing the things that I've seen when it comes to what women have to go through, our bodies go through, what our minds go through, what our emotions go through, it's heavy. And honestly, for me, it was just as heavy because I had a C-section. It was an emergency C-section, and 10 minutes after the C-section, I bled out. I just bled out. And they caught it in time. My blood pressure, I think the last when I saw it, it was like 40 over 70. It was very low. And they were trying to figure out where the blood was coming from, what was not, closing properly. And I ended up having to go back into the operating room, and they had to open me up again and figure out where the bleeding was coming from. And it was very traumatic for me, but it was also very traumatic for my husband, who was sitting there holding our baby girl, not knowing what to do or what to say, but seeing everything. And one thing that I caught on to with that recovery process, thank God, they gave me 2 units of blood, everything was fine, but there was nothing, there was no other than me asking for explanation, a written explanation for everything that happened, because I know I'm a nurse, written explanation for everything that happened. There was no way of comforting my emotions, my mind, and on the internal level. Same for my husband. We were just kind of left to just, yeah, you're okay now, just go. So that recovery process was hard, and I honestly believe that, yeah, I did have postpartum depression. Um, and I think I had already been depressed, but it was more like a functional depressed person. One of those. You can still function, you can still do all the things that you normally do, but yet there's just this undertone of sadness. There's this undertone of fatigue. That's what I was going through for a very long time. So the birth just kind of exasperated it. And I didn't have anyone to talk to. I didn't know, there wasn't words for it. One thing that I want to highlight, especially with us in our community, is we're so used to suppressing a lot of our emotions simply for, you got to survive, you got to keep going. The resiliency factor makes it so that emotions is almost like a luxury. So I think that that's kind of the mold that I was working out of that kept me going. That it was just kind of like, there's no space for it. There's no space for you to feel. There's no space for you to process. There's no space for you to actually dissect all of this. But me knowing me with the mind that I have, the type of way that my stuff is set up, I had to dissect every little thing. And that was huge. The other mental health issue was my mom actually was diagnosed with manic depression, bipolar manic depression. And as a teenager, I basically became the mom for her. So it was almost like I saw it firsthand, but I had no vocabulary for it. I had no understanding for it. It wasn't talked about. She didn't really get the help that she needed. So we saw a lot that really scarred us. Um, so it was a lot going on, and for me, I had to literally take a good year off after the birth of my daughter to really process everything. And still to this day, things will come up, things will be triggered. Even with all the knowledge and understanding and healing I have already done, it still comes up. It's just having the tools to know that those emotions don't have to overtake me. I am stronger than my emotions. We're all stronger than our thoughts, our emotions. There's something bigger behind the emotions that we can tap into and call on and call in those times. So those are my experiences.
Wow. Wow. Um. Wow. It's so crazy because I know Tia probably gonna have probably the same. I guess her a similar story. Probably about the pregnancy.
I mean, I can. I wasn't.
You
but I
wasn't
can.
okay. Well, that's good. That's good. I didn't know, but just I guess that would be my main question. Like, why isn't there a, I guess, more avenues for women after pregnancies, or do women take advantage, or is there, if there is, why don't women take more advantage of those avenues to kind of get through the postpartum,
Well,
from, if
so
y'all have it. I'm just literally I'm asking like to know.
he is actually asking. So
I would say it's a lot of stigma in the Black community, and that in our community, you are strong. So therefore, if you're strong physically, you're strong mentally, and it's not really, our support systems have been our families mainly, and not necessarily, we don't have the same level of trust in physicians and hospital staff, I guess, as some other ethnicities and races do.
I think it's pride too. I think there's a lot of pride going on. I mean, it's not just men, women too. There's just a pride thing. There's a shame and a guilt factor that plays in. There's a feeling of, if I reveal I'm going through this, then I'm not good enough. Then I'm not the superwoman that I want to be for my family. I'm not that person that people can rely on anymore. If I tell people that I'm going through this, I'm not going to be considered strong anymore. Just like you said, Mia. Like and it stems from a lot of generational issues. It stems from social conditioning.
Hmm.
It stems from the way that we even view ourselves. It stems from not having the ability to cultivate self love and self acceptance to the point where we can love and accept and say our good and our bad. Okay. We only want to look at the good and put the bad, somewhere in the dirty closet. We want to close the closet on it. And when you close that closet on it, that's all the dirt is piling up. It's piling up in there. It's piling up in there, piling up in there, and then it explodes
Right.
internally. It explodes. So you only see the problem when it's literally at the explosion stage, as opposed to it's building. I need to tell somebody it's building. And that's one thing that I coach people on, learning when you're triggered and how to voice when you're triggered by something or an event or a situation or a person. Voicing it, putting a voice to it, realizing that your experience matters. A lot of people, a lot of women, we often take on the voice and the experiences of the people around us because we're just absorbers. It's one of our gifts that's really acting as a curse on us. We absorb. So we can see everyone's perspective and needs over ours. And that's acting as a detriment to us. It's acting as a slow virus, you
Mhm.
know. So that's something that requires understanding, healing, uh, accepting, and tools to do something different. It's literally like we got to turn off a switch in our brain and turn on a different switch.
Also, I want to add to that and say that in the Black community, um, many of us will lean on other things, such as substances and things of that nature, due to our mental health or stemming from our mental health issues that are not being dealt with, in order to cope. So instead of the positive tools, as Abby mentioned, we use those as tools and coping mechanisms. So,
Oh wow, this is good. I never knew that. So I
I heard it. I was in the background, but I heard it.
uh okay. Well, that's good. So I guess one of the things that I dealt with from a mental health standpoint is being a father and a husband. That is probably the being a father and a husband in the midst of what we're going through. Even yes, COVID, yes, but even before then, just I guess having the ability to do my what I'm called to do as a husband and as a father to the best of my ability. And then if I don't, I beat up myself because I don't. And then raising a black son, and that also because everything I'm it's literally the mind is literally a battlefield. It's like literally the place where the greatest conflicts are. So I'm literally fighting with myself on a daily. um and just like Tierra said, she thought that she was okay, and come to find out she had a heart problem, and she come to find out she had
Anxiety.
anxiety. the same thing.
Same
Literally.
thing.
I feel like my heart was like
Skipping beats.
and sometimes I get short of breath. And I'm thinking like, okay, is it something on my diet or what is this? What is this? Come to find out I have a really, really bad anxiety. And how I deal with anxiety, which I didn't even know I had anxiety. I never even felt like I had anxiety.
Because of what it looks like, I think.
I was the one who always, you know what, God's going to, he going to take care of it, you know? And I'm trusting him and I'm going through with it and we going to make, God is, listen.
He's one of those.
You know, because now on one side, I feel that way. I feel like, you know, give it to God and being able to, you know, not worry about it is probably one of my biggest things. But in the midst of all of that, I was still dealing with it, but I didn't know I was dealing with it. You know, because even though I would say God would handle it, even Tia, because Tia is the type of person, she will show her worries. So she would say, I'm worried about this not happening. This is not happening. I'm like, yo, if God did it before, he'll do it again. I'm always that encourager, not knowing that in the midst of me saying that to her, I'm probably feeling the exact same way. But it's like, as the head of the house, as the man, I have to be able to be, you know, be strong for her. You know, we can't have two people. Like I love this saying, like if we both are struggling or going through or we're worrying, we can't have two people worrying. You gotta at least have one person who at least can get you through, so you can lean on the other person and vice versa. You know, so I've always been like, that has been my mantra. So I've always, I guess, in the midst of that, I have been suppressing, and I didn't know. I didn't know. My sister got shot like a month ago in the back out of nowhere, which threw me, you know, because in my mind, oh, my sister's gone, and how my mind works, I think if my sister got shot, I'm already at the funeral in my mind. You know, I'm already planning and seeing how everything's gonna go, because that's how I am. I'm like, when it comes to stuff traumatic like that, I'm always thinking about my little brother. My little brother is 23 years old, and you know, these kids are getting shot and killed every single day, and I'm thinking like, what if something happens to him? So I'm always thinking about things. I'm just thinking about them, not knowing that this is me having a real anxiety moment. Like, oh wow, like my brother could die, and then in the midst, and I'm having these thoughts, and I'm thinking, what would I do if my brother died? Not, I hope he's okay, but what would I do if my brother died? How will we handle this? Well, you know, and so that has caused an anxiety that I didn't know. So I know it's a bunch of people who probably feel me on that sense, where they probably think they don't have anxiety, but really do. You know, and I found that out when I almost couldn't breathe at work. You know, and I'm wondering what was the issue? Why was this happening? So in the midst of that anxiety, I'm also I have depression, and I never, and Tia always say, Brandon, you never share with me what you're going through mentally, you know, because I guess as being a man, and this is what you always try to be, you know, you don't want to worry somebody else about what you're going through, because you want to make sure the household is together. So my mental is, as long as which I know it isn't good, as long as everybody else's mental is okay, I can deal with mine, you know, and which isn't good, because in the midst of all of that, I'm hurting myself, and so that was my mental health thing. Just being a black man in America, trying to raise a family and a black son, and trying to support the best way that I can, and wanting the best for my whole family, knowing that we're going to go through stuff financially, knowing that, you know, we might not have this or have that, and you know you want that for your family, but you're not in a position to give what you know you want your family to have. That's in my mind. I know it sounds crazy me saying it, but it's just, I'm thinking about this every single day. Every day I'm thinking about this. Like it kills me the fact that right now in this moment, I can't just go out and be like, you know what? Let's go and get this house. Let's pop this off. Because of credit, because of finances, because of what me not having the right job, so I can bring in the amount of money to be able to take care of my family to what I want them to have. So this is things that goes through my mind, and I have been dealing with. Since my episode with my heart, I've kind of started to deal with these things from a
By himself.
by myself. Which is probably bad. I know. Look, I told y'all. Like,
Yeah.
listen. Like, I literally, because she has, to me, Tia has enough going on, right? Like, she's already, she's dealing with jobs. I'm trying to make sure that she's happy, and I think that might be a. It's not a bad thing, but I think I falter or default making sure she's okay before I am. Like, you're not happy. Okay, let's figure out how we can get you happy. Or you're upset with your job. Okay, how can we do this? I'm always trying to make sure that she's okay. But I kind of don't worry about self, because I feel like I'll get through it. I'll be okay. Which I know it's not good, but
I just wanted to make one statement about the airplane and the mask, about how you can't help anybody before you, unless you help yourself first. So you need to. I'm gonna tell you what you need to do. But I will say that I believe that if you work on yourself first, then Tia, it can help alleviate some of Tia's stress and things that are going on in Tia's life as well, because you now are mentally able to handle a lot more, because you prepared yourself and your psyche for everything that's coming up next, because there's always something coming, right? There's always something coming. So that's just my take on it.
No, you're fine. I wanted to just acknowledge you. Um, I really wanted to acknowledge you for being open and honest with the thoughts that are in your mind and the feelings you have, because most men have a huge issue with just being able to say half of the stuff that you just said. Okay. Most men have a huge issue with saying that, thinking that it's a weakness when it's actually a strength. Hear me out on this, because when men keep it in, they lash out on women because of these things. They lash out. They respond negatively to a woman and her issues because of the stuff already going on in their brain that they haven't shared with anyone. So it's a trickle effect. And when you're able to communicate this, it means that you're aware that you're bigger than it already. It means that you're aware that this doesn't have control over you enough to keep you silent. I don't think we do enough of acknowledging and respecting our emotions, just giving it a space to just be. Because here's what I think about emotions. I see emotions and I see anxiety and I see depression and I see all about even the negative ways that we cope. I see it as like a kid throwing a temper tantrum inside of us. These emotions are kids, are past issues that are coming up in negative ways because they want to be seen, they want to be heard, they want to be accepted, and they want a space to just be like a cloud passing by. When a kid is in the store throwing a tantrum, is it best to sit there and be quiet, shut up, no, stop, or that's just gonna aggravate it more? Or can you just silently give that child space? Can you just look at this child like, I'm going to just wait here till you're done? You're going to get tired eventually. And I'm here. And I can offer love. And I can still offer my presence to you. it really takes us being able to be the parent to our emotions. We've got to learn how to parent ourselves. Like, what would you want your parent to tell you when you are going through those anxiety attacks? What would you want your ideal parent? You know, you could give it to yourself. God gave us that ability to give it to ourselves. You know what I'm saying? We can't keep holding it in. That's what's killing us. We can't keep holding it in. It's too much. Okay? Because literally as it's trying to come up, it's just trying to it's like the tears is almost like just the release, or the fear is just it's when it comes up, it's just trying to leave. It's just trying to say, I'm here. And then if you acknowledge it, it'll just be like, okay, you acknowledge me, so I'm gonna just chill now. That's how I see emotions. I'm gonna just chill. Okay. She's not trying to suppress me. She's not trying to be mean. All right. Y'all, like y'all get that a little. Like I know it sounds a little far fetched.
No, we get it.
No, I definitely understand. Acknowledging your emotions, like you said, and being aware of them is the first step in any type of mental health consultation. So,
Yeah,
absolutely. If you're not aware of it, you can't even begin. You can't even begin to deal with it. So,
that's true. Yep.
Yeah, and I think with men too, I think like we are listen, and I think I've watched. We are expected to be everything, from all levels. I mean, it's just like and it's and it's not a bad thing, but I think just having an avenue to express that sometimes is a lot. We are expected to have this, we are expected to have that, and if you don't have this, then are you a man? Then are and so like you said, expressing those things to as a man is hard. I am the most different in this man ever because I'm not prideful in that sense because I feel like uh, I can't be. I don't know what it is, but God made me a little bit different where I can't be. I'm not prideful in those areas. Maybe it was a reason why. But if I need help, if I feel like I'm going through, I'm gonna express it. But the reason why I'm voicing it on here because when the other man that's gonna be watching this, at least they'll have, to kind of see how to navigate through all this. And I think that's the big thing. So I appreciate both of you guys, the encouragement through that. Like I said, I'm still dealing with it every day and trying to figure it out how to navigate through this thing. And while I'm figuring this out, you guys, I want to give a kudos to all four of you guys on just what you guys have done, just being moms, in the midst of everything, all the trials and all the tribulations and what you had to go through, but you still went through it, even though it was hard, and being able to be a voice for people who may not, they're watching this and maybe feel like they can't go through it. So having a example, you guys are set the example, and it's an awesome thing, really awesome thing. Pause.
thank you.
This guy is about to get on my last nerve. This little kid. I'm just saying. I'm being honest in this moment. We pause. This little Negro is literally on my last nerve, and I'm trying to be nice. But y'all about to see Daddy come out with it a little bit.
That's the Solomon show. Y'all better stop playing with him.
Look, like
He know who show this is. He know who show this is. Stop playing with him.
so. I apologize. I'm trying not to tune out, but
Tierra left and had took care of some stuff. I went in. When I left, I was back there taking care of some stuff.
Yeah, this is real. See, people don't understand. Look, we try to be all. Listen, this is life. See, people don't got. You see the other podcasters who got a little bit more money than us and everything, or people doing their channels. They got people to watch their kids. We ain't got that. We ain't got that.
Or lock a door or something.
We ain't blessed yet, to have that. We're not saying we won't, but just right now, this is the ground floor.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go ahead. Okay, we're gonna go ahead. I pause.
yeah, I heard this. Was it my turn?
Yeah, it's your turn.